In August 1970, the New South Wales Rail Transport Museum organised the first steam locomotive haul service from Sydney to Perth. Named the Western Endeavour, the steam train's epic 4,300-kilometre journey took 7 days to cross Australia from the Pacific to the Indian Ocean. This year, we celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Western Endeavour's historic journey.
The decision was made in 1963 to complete a standard gauge railway across Australia. And in the following year, 1964, we, that is the New South Wales Rail Transport Museum, decided it would be a good idea to run a steam train all the way across Australia on this new line from Sydney to Perth. The biggest complication was the fact that we, the museum, had to deal with several different railway administrations. Mostly we were used to dealing with the New South Wales railways, but this trip was going to run across South Australia, across the Commonwealth-owned line to Kalgoorlie, and then the Western Australian Railway into Perth. So dealing with all of those different organisations was the greatest challenge of organising the trip.
The city of Sydney on the east coast was the departure point for the epic journey, which began on Saturday, August the 22nd, 1970.
We were passengers on the Western Endeavour when it left Sydney. As the train was leaving Central on its departure from Sydney, all the lineside people, who were, a lot of them, the railway people, said, you won't make it. So we said, yeah, we'll prove it wrong. Yes, we will, it's no problem. It'll get there, it just takes time. It worked all right. There was just so many people out to see it.
3801 had long been a famous engine, and the Railway Museum had paid in 1963 to have it brought back into service and overhauled, so it was a fairly obvious choice.
My name is John Player, and I was the fireman on 3813 on the Western Endeavour from Sydney to Bathurst. Shoveled a lot of coal, a lot of hard work, and thoroughly enjoyed myself. Oh, that wonderful engine. Oh, they used to go. What I did like about a 38er is you got the Newcastle coal. We used to call it dynamite coal, and you'd get it near the fire hole door and it used to explode.
The 38 class engines were a pretty obvious choice. They were the latest and best passenger steam engines on the New South Wales rail system.
It was a really enjoyable trip going, and we really felt very sad that we couldn't go the whole distance, because I was expecting our second child, and unfortunately we could go as far as Bathurst.
But it was worth it. Yes, it was worth just to be part of it for that day.
The sights that we've seen on the Western Endeavour was the amount of cars and people and young children everywhere you went. Beside the line, they were everywhere, on bridges, on culverts. It was fantastic to see it. A part of history.
You knew everybody on the train.
Well, you knew most people on the train, yes.
They had their own little newspaper each day. There was one chap who had a typewriter and he used to type that up every day. So it was really
a special event.
Yeah, it's a really special event.
Well, the trip took a week each way when it ran, from starting on the 22nd of August 1970. A week to get to Perth. There was a week off. A local trip was run in Western Australia, and then a week to come home from Perth to Sydney. Took 6 years of organisation and then 3 weeks of running the train.
All the way along between Sydney and Bathurst, up the mountains, there was cars following us, taking film as we were travelling along the train. So it was very popular that time.
At Perth Terminal, thousands of people welcomed the train, its crew and passengers.
One of the best things about organising this trip from the museum's viewpoint was that we had the very strong support, particularly from the New South Wales Railways. And without their active support in dealing with the other railways, I don't think it would have happened.
The sound of 3801, alive and at rest, after crossing the continent.
You expect it. Well, that's what it should do.